Hello, welcome back. This week we're going to continue with the Modeling Earth's Systems unit. And in this lesson, we're going to focus in on the following question. What is quality water? Before we begin, let's take a look at this illustration that we have on the slide. What observations can you make about the water, the quality of the water from this illustration? I notice that the water in this lake is polluted. There's some kind of stuff growing in this water. And we will learn more about the quality and the state and the things that are growing in this water in the coming lessons. Anytime you see this icon in a light blue box, write your response. Lesson objective. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to describe what makes water safe for us to use. Introduction model. Today, you will learn about how water is treated to make it safe for a population to use. Introduction before you read. Name 3 facts you know about how water is made clean and safe for us to use. Well, the first thing that I know is I know that water from our homes is cleaned at facilities. I also know that agents and reagents are added to clean the water. And I also know that clean water is sent back to our homes. Write 2 questions you have about how water is made clean and safe for us to use. Now, before my reading, I definitely have some questions about how water is made clean and safe for us to use. So I'm going to try to generate some questions around this topic. One of the first questions is that I came up with is, what is the process of making clean water at the water treatment facilities? The second question I would like to know is, what facts would I gather to support the idea that water is safe to drink? Now I know dirty water enters the sewer system and then it goes into a water treatment facility, but is it really safe to drink? Write an analogy about how water is made safe and clean for us to use. Now, an analogy compares 2 things. So let's take a look at one of my analogies. Technology is used to create the man-made process for making water safe and clean for us to use, as nature has used the natural process to make water safe and clean for us to use. Now, after the reading, we're going to come back to these questions that I asked, and I'm going to try to answer these questions. So during my reading, I'm going to pay attention to facts and the reading to try to find answers to these questions. And as I'm reading, I'm going to gather new information about how water is made safe and clean for us to use, and I will come back and create a new analogy. Well, let's continue. Independent work. Read this slide. Water resources. Look under a sink and you will see pipes. Fresh water goes to and from the sink through these pipes. Water comes into a building through pipes. It comes out through the faucet of the sink. What goes down the drain in the sink? It then leaves the building through different pipes. What happens to water after it washes down the drain? In this illustration, we see a kitchen sink. We see pipes, we see a faucet, and we see sinks. Hot water and cold water flow to the faucet through the smaller pipes. When water goes down the drain, it leaves the building through the larger pipes. Where does it go next? Water use produces wastewater. After people use water, we call it wastewater. Wastewater might contain dirt, germs, or harmful chemicals. People and animals could get sick if they drink it. Wastewater put back into rivers, lakes, and oceans should be cleaned first. Several steps are needed to clean the dirty water. Only then is it safe to put it back into the environment. Wastewater is cleaned at special sites. These are water treatment plants. If you live in a city, you might have one of these sites near you. Different structures filter the water. The process uses filters and chemicals that kill germs. The clean water is discharged or released into lakes, streams, or the ocean. From there, it can be used again. Now, as I analyze this illustration, this diagram, I can see a picture of a house and a building. Now I can see that there are also pipes and arrows pointing in the direction that the water is headed. So wastewater heads out from the house and the building towards a wastewater treatment plant. From there, it enters, it seems like there are several stages. It enters the first stage, which is called the screen. Then it enters the second stage, which is called grit removal. And then it enters the third stage, which is called aeration tanks. And after that, it enters the fourth stage, which is called disinfection. That's an interesting word, disinfection. And finally, the last stage is discharge. So this is clean water that would probably be returned back into the environment or back in for us to drink. Well, let's continue. Wastewater is treated and reused. The water that leaves your house and other buildings flows through pipes. This wastewater flows into sewers. Sewers are large pipes. Water from many buildings flows through sewers. Stage 1. Water from sewers reaches the plant. Here, it first flows through screens. The screens filter the water. They remove large objects from the wastewater. 2. Next, water flows to the grit removal chamber. In the chamber, water spins quickly. The spinning removes sand, dirt, and other tiny bits of matter from the water. 3. Then the water flows into tanks. Air and bacteria are added to the water in the tanks, making it bubble. Bacteria are too small to see without a microscope, but they do a big job. They break down any material left in wastewater after the first 2 steps. 4. The last step in the cleaning process is disinfection. Look at the word disinfection. You can find the word infect. The prefix dis in front of a word means the opposite. Disinfect means the opposite of infect. In this process, workers add chemicals to the water that kill the bacteria. The chemicals also kill other germs in the water that could make people sick. 5. After this, the water is safe to use again. It may go through more filters, so it is safe to drink. It may be returned to the environment through the streams and other bodies of water. Independent work after reading. Name 3 new facts you know about how water is made safe and clean for us to use. So the first fact I learned was that filters and chemicals are used to kill germs in wastewater. The second fact I learned is that air and bacteria are added to the water in the tanks to break down any material left in wastewater. And another fact I learned was that workers add chemicals to the water that kill the bacteria in the process called disinfection. Did you find the answers to either of your 2 questions in the reading? Use text evidence to support your answer. Well, the text states, wastewater is cleaned at special sites. Each site is responsible for removing specific pollutants. 2. The text states, different structures filter the water. The process uses filters and chemicals that kill germs. The disinfection process kills off any remaining bacteria, making water safe to drink. Write a new analogy about how water is made safe and clean for us to use. So now, after gaining new information about how water is made safe and clean for us to use, I will create a new analogy. Water treatment plants clean water in a multi-step process, as nature filters water through multiple layers of soil, rock, and other natural materials. Thanks for watching. See you next time.